Hi, I'm Jasmine Turner from the Campus Herald. I have the great pleasure of introducing you to our guest speaker, Piper Kerman, author of the acclaimed bestseller, Orange is the New Black, My Year in a Women's Prison. Her work has made Jenji Kohan's Netflix original series into a must-see show, earning 22 awards and 49 nominations. Johnson & Wales is honored to have you here today to speak with our student body for our Cultural Life event series.
Great. It's so wonderful to be included in the Cultural Life series.
So let's begin. You've delivered lectures to campuses across the country. What would you say is the most important message that you would give to college students to walk away with?
I think that the single most important message has to do with the reason that I wrote the book in the first place. The people we lock away in prisons and jails are people. I also want students to walk away recognizing that the United States incarcerates more people than any society in human history, and that this is a really recent development. The crime rate is very, very low, and it has been low for some time, and yet our incarceration rates continue to decline. I think it has a lot to do with outdated approaches to policing and sentencing. I think it has a lot to do with racism. I think it has a lot to do with profit being part of the status quo.
Now, what would you say was your most memorable experience in prison?
Some of the holidays, like Christmas or even Halloween. Halloween in prison is a weird time. So it would be hard to choose one.
Speaking English and maybe like a language barrier, how would that relate to the diversity you experienced in the prison with maybe like diversity on college campuses?
I think that societies and institutions only benefit from diversity. So a college or a university that makes a clear commitment to a diverse student population, diverse in all the ways that we think about that word, is a college that's going to be a really vibrant community.
How do you hope your story and the resulting show have impacted racial minorities, women, and the transgender community?
My hope in writing the book was that I would be able to get more people to pay attention to the prison system, which disproportionately is filled with people of color, people who are marginalized in other ways, like the trans community, the LGBTQ community, people from poorest neighborhoods and the most vulnerable families.
So you serve on the board of the Women's Prison Association. What does this organization do, and how can college students get involved with your organization, such as young adults?
We do a number of things. We do a lot of direct services, and a lot of the most important direct services we provide are housing, because New York has a really significant housing problem, and for people who come out of the prison system, that's even more acute. We do a lot of family reunification, which is so important. For women coming home from prison or jail, one of the most powerful incentives for them to focus on the things that are really important is the incentive of reunifying their family and taking care of their kids. But I really encourage folks to get involved where they live.
Definitely. Now, you did mention how important work was to the inmates and how you were an electrician and you did your construction work as well. Now, how are those skills transferred into, I guess you could say, your real life after you were released? Like, were they that useful? Would you want to change the programs?
Well, for me, my ability to be handy around the house was greatly increased, but I would say that in practical terms, it didn't have a lot to do with my prospects for employment. My college degree had a lot more to do with my prospects for employment. What we see in the prison system is that when public education doesn't work the way it should and kids drop out of high school, they're greatly at risk of going into the criminal justice system. We know if there's one thing that ensures that somebody won't go back to prison or jail, it's getting a college degree. People who are able to do that simply don't go back. So education is probably the number one antidote to incarceration.
What really do you think was the driving force behind why it was so popular with the public today?
I think that the story comes at a time when there is increasing recognition that having the biggest prison population in history is not a good thing for us as Americans. And so anything that helps people better understand what really goes on behind the walls of a prison or a jail is useful.
Definitely. And can you tell us anything about Chapman's fate, without revealing too many plot twists to come?
Piper Chapman has a really interesting storyline in season 3. I really can't reveal anything because they'll lock me away again. Not in prison, but in a closet or something.
Thank you so much, Piper, for joining us today and for inspiring Johnson & Wales students to be more proactive in their criminal justice system.
Oh, thank you.